Welcome back guys, and today we're cooking the perfect beef. Now we're going to get a little bit more technical today because we're actually using a sous vide machine, which sounds scary, it sounds expensive, but in actual fact it's none of the above. Well, it doesn't have to be. This is how you're going to take your home cooking food from great to near on perfection. Look at that beef there, this is my Sunday roast dinner. More about the sous vide machine that I'm using. It's really easy to use. You literally just screw that to the side of a nice big saucepan and fill the water up. The water level has to be between the maximum and minimum. This is an Anova precision cooker. It costs around about £150, but you can get sous vide machines that range from 30 anywhere up into the hundreds. It's got 3 screens on here, so one tells you the temperature it is now, one lets you set the temperature, so it's set at 54 degrees, which is perfect medium rare steak, and then you've got a timer. I've pushed play, but obviously the water's too low. Next, onto the steak. Now I'm using this steak today for a roast dinner. This weighs around about 650 grams, it's a thick cut sirloin steak. And you want to just take that out of the fridge, let it come to room temperature. That will help with the cooking process, and then season it generously with lots of salt and pepper. Now the sous vide machine works with any kind of steaks at all. It works with chicken, it works with fish, it's brilliant with pork. You will never overcook your food again. If you don't like your steaks cooked like I serve mine medium rare, if you don't like that, you just alter the temperature. I'll show you that in a minute. And you just cook it more to medium or more to well done, anything you want, but that steak will be juicy and soak in all of the flavours. The next myth about home sous vide cooking is that you need the vacuum pack accessories to go with it. Well, my budget doesn't allow that at the moment, so I'm just using a simple sandwich bag, and I'm just going to squeeze as much air out as possible. And like you saw at the beginning of the video, it works perfectly fine because that steak is cooked to perfection. So all you do is put your seasoned steak into the sandwich bag, and then I'm going to add a little bit more flavour, and as the steak slowly cooks it will soak in all these flavours. So I'm going in with some lovely fresh rosemary, and then instead of oil I'm going to use a nice slice of butter. That's going to add incredible flavour, and then a couple of crushed or squashed garlic cloves. So I'm just going to pop that in the bag on one side, and then I will repeat the process with the other side because we don't want one side of our steak being flavoured. So again, a couple of bits of rosemary, some butter and some crushed garlic cloves. And then once that's done, seal the top of your sandwich bag and just push out as much air as possible so it's not buoyant, and we don't want it floating around in the saucepan, we just want it to actually get fully submerged. And there you've got our steak all seasoned and got some flavours in there, and we're ready to cook. I like my steaks medium rare, so I'm setting it to 54 degrees, but you can see here all the other temperatures that you can set it at for however you like your steak to be cooked. And then I'm going to set it for 3 hours, because even though we're gently cooking our steak, we do need the heat to get to the middle, so you need to allow a little bit more time for that. Pop your bag in there, make sure there's no more air in there at all, so it's not floating outside the water. Get it all pushed down and seal it back up if you've had to squeeze out more air. And then give it one last little push down so it's fully submerged, not bobbing out of the water, or you'll get bits of steak that won't cook properly. Leave it there for 3 hours, and then you're going to end up with something like this, which smells absolutely delicious. It might look a little bit ropey at the moment, but it smells incredible, and that means it's just going to taste insanely delicious. So take it out of the bag and remove any of the garlic or the rosemary. I know it doesn't look too good at the moment, but that steak is cooked absolutely perfectly. Now we just need a bit of colour, a bit of extra flavour, and with that crust on the outside. So get a pan, a non-stick pan, onto a very high heat, and then add about a tablespoon of olive oil. And then once it's searing hot, put that steak in there, and especially with this sirloin, I'm going to cook that fat. I'm going to put it fat side in first. That fat will release even more oils into the pan and flavour this steak deliciously. Just leave that there for a couple of minutes until the fat ends up golden and rendered down. I'll show you now what it should look like. So you see that's getting lovely golden and crisp. That's adding flavour to the pan. And now what we're going to do is start cooking it on each side. And what you don't want to do is leave it too long in the pan, otherwise obviously that steak's going to keep cooking and you're going to end up with your steak cooked more than you like. So you just want to cook it on a high heat really quickly. Takes around about a minute on each side, or you can do it 30 seconds, flip it, 30 seconds, flip it, 30 seconds, flip it, until you get the most delicious crust on your steak. Or how good does this steak look? I'm having flashbacks of when I ate it. Last thing, for the last 30 seconds, add in, if you want to, this adds even more flavour, add in some butter. Once it's butter, crushed garlic and some rosemary, and when the butter's foaming, just give your steak a quick baste. This is insane. Then, as with all steaks, you're going to take it out to rest it. So pop it back onto the plate and then pour over all that lovely butter, rosemary, garlic, and then you just want to rest that for at least 15 to 20 minutes. I like to cover mine with a little bit of foil and then put a tea towel on top. All this does is it keeps the warmth in. It doesn't continue to cook the steak, but it keeps the warmth in, keeps the moisture in. We're going to rest that so that we've got no juices leaking out that steak. All the juices have soaked back into that meat, making the most delicious sirloin steak. And here we go. After 15-20 minutes of resting, we've now got this most perfect steak to go on our roast dinner, or with some chips, however you like to serve it. As you can see here, I'm going to slice into it. For me, that is absolute perfection. You will never ever overcook a piece of meat or fish again. So yeah, don't forget that this doesn't just work really great with steaks. You can do pork, chicken breast is delicious. If you want a really juicy chicken breast, obviously check the correct times for that. The times I showed earlier are just for steaks. But you can pretty much cook anything, even veg and things like that. There is no limits to a sous vide machine. So if you're trying to impress people, I really highly recommend that you grab one. And again, they're all different price range, whatever suits your budget. But if you're a keen home cook that wants to elevate their cooking, just give a sous vide machine a try. Get it on your birthday or Christmas list. If you enjoyed this video and you found it informative, don't forget to like, share and subscribe.